If you stand on the Dubai coastline today, you are looking at one of the highest densities of five-star hotels and luxury skyscrapers on Earth, all sitting on what used to be miles of empty dunes. The common assumption is that this hyper-modern skyline was simply purchased with an endless supply of local petrodollars. However, current economic data shows that oil accounts for less than 1% of Dubai's gross domestic product. 60 years ago, the area was a modest fishing and trading settlement centered around a saltwater inlet known as Dubai Creek. There were no paved highways or international airports. Without massive hydrocarbon reserves to fall back on, the ruling family used a highly calculated model of strategic engineering to build this global epicenter of wealth. For generations, local livelihoods depended heavily on pearl diving, but affordable cultured pearls from Japan soon flooded the market, and the Gulf pearling industry collapsed. Commercial quantities of oil were discovered in 1966. However, Dubai's reserves were substantially smaller than those of neighboring Abu Dhabi, making long-term petroleum dependence impossible. Recognizing that this oil wealth was ephemeral, Sheikh Rashid bin Zayed Al Maktoum established a policy of reinvestment. He famously remarked, "My grandfather rode a camel, my father rode a camel. I drive a Mercedes, my son drives a Land Rover, his son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel." To understand how they deployed this capital, look at this historical record. In the late 1950s, the government borrowed millions to dredge and widen Dubai Creek. This single infrastructure project allowed large ocean-going vessels to dock, increasing the volume of local merchant trade. By directing oil revenue into Port Rashid and Jebel Ali Harbor, the leadership built permanent physical trade assets that outlasted the initial petroleum capital. Geographically, the city sits within an 8-hour flight of 2/3 of the world's population. In 1985, the government provided $10 million to launch Emirates Airline, utilizing a hub-and-spoke strategy to connect passengers traveling between Western nations and Asia. Looking at the resulting aviation metrics, Dubai International Airport expanded to handle over 87 million passengers annually prior to its most recent expansions, providing a steady pipeline of international visitors. To capture those visitors, the city constructed high-visibility landmarks. The Burj Khalifa required roughly $1.5 billion to build, but it served as an anchor that increased the price per square foot of the surrounding residential and commercial developments. This strategy accelerated after a 2002 decree. For the first time, foreign investors of any nationality were allowed to purchase freehold property, resulting in billions of dollars in foreign direct investment. But the city had a geographic bottleneck, only 72 kilometers of natural coastline. To solve this, developers used 94 million cubic meters of sand to construct the Palm Jumeirah, an artificial archipelago that increased the city's private beach coastline by over 500%. The economic model operates in a loop. The state-owned airline brings in the global traffic, the luxury hospitality network houses them, and the freehold property laws capture their capital long-term. To draw corporate headquarters, Dubai established over 30 specialized free zones. As this table indicates, these distinct regulatory islands offer 100% foreign ownership and zero corporate taxes, attracting anchor firms like Microsoft, Google, and Goldman Sachs. For high-net-worth individuals, the draw is personal. This tax policy analysis shows a 0% rate on personal income, capital gains, and inheritance, rates significantly lower than those in traditional financial capitals like London or New York. In 2019, the government addressed a long-standing issue. Residency used to be tied strictly to temporary employment contracts. This framework introduced the 10-year renewable Golden Visa, allowing major real estate investors and startup founders to live there without a local sponsor. Wealthy families also prioritize physical safety. With a population that is over 90% expatriate, residency is strictly contingent on legal compliance. The high personal risk of deportation creates an environment with exceptionally low violent and property crime rates. By combining legal certainty, personal safety, and tax efficiency, the city evolved into a sanctuary optimized for the world's most mobile wealth. But sustaining this level of growth in an extreme environment comes with physical limitations. With virtually no natural freshwater resources, over 95% of the potable water supply relies on energy-intensive seawater desalination. The economy is deeply tethered to global capital flows, making it vulnerable to macroeconomic shocks. During the 2008 financial crisis, real estate prices plummeted. As noted here, neighboring Abu Dhabi provided a $10 billion bailout to service the city's debt. Furthermore, the demographic structure relies entirely on a continuous influx of foreign labor to build and maintain the infrastructure, leaving the market sensitive to changes in global talent migration. Because of the high cost of living and immense environmental overhead, the economy cannot afford to stagnate. It is structurally required to out-innovate its own expenses. To maintain momentum, the government launched the D33 Agenda. This master plan outlines 100 transformative projects with explicit targets to double the city's economic output to 32 trillion dirhams over the next decade. Recognizing the need to decarbonize its power grid, this document also outlines a $13.6 billion investment to build the world's largest single-site solar park, aiming for 100% clean energy by 2050. In less than 6 decades, a small trading post utilized financial discipline and infrastructure spending to build a non-oil economy. Whether it can maintain this trajectory depends on how it navigates coming climate challenges and inflation, but the record indicates that deliberate strategic engineering, rather than an accident of geography, will determine its future.